Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating a session of The Between. This is a game yet to be published, so we're playing with the most recent playtest materials by Jason Cordova, founder of the Gauntlet and all-round RPG event, Jason. This is a game that he has designed. It will be first available, I believe, in the next issue of the Gauntlet RPG Community's Codex zine, but may be available later in the year to the rest of you. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, then please look us up. Gauntlet-RPG will find us in any reputable search engine. We're an online gaming community that span the globe, so we're covering a couple of continents today. And this game is organized as part of the Gauntlet calendar. The calendar has about 100 games a month online, organized for online play. And, we'd encourage you to come and play games with us. So I'm going to say any more about the Gauntlet. Look up one of the first sessions of almost any other series of mine online, and you'll find more about the Gauntlet. But I am very keen to get into this game. So let's first introduce our players. So let me go left to right on the character keeper. Stephen, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and then introduce us to the American.
Hey there, I'm Stephen, he, him. I've been on the Gauntlet for a couple years now, and I'm playing Constance O'Neill, the Angel. No, I'm not gonna be able to maintain that accent. I'm just going to talk like this. I am the American. I grew up. Oh, you're muted?
Just remember, there is something I need to tell you and the audience, which is that we are deliberately not going to talk about the past of the character.
Okay.
Because we are starting in the present. The past of all the characters will be revealed in play. I knew I had something to say about that before I kicked off. So I'm sorry about that. So you needn't tell us anything about your past. You just tell us, what do we see on screen when we first meet Angel?
Okay. I think that we see a tall, lean woman with a old Derringer rifle strapped across her back and a pistol sidearm to her hip, and she's wearing a long coat that a dark long coat that cuts into a riding dress below. And I think also, as I said, will have like a really fancy pair of ostrich skin boots that have been with inlaid with turquoise. I think that they're kind of I think that they're probably like, I'm kind of thinking like, I think owls. I think that's the design on the boots.
Thank you for that. And let's move along. Donna, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to our Factotum.
Yeah, hi. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. And today I'm playing Moore, also he, him, who is the Factotum, serving hence Unruh, more of later. He is a youngish man, maybe late 20s or early 30s, with a kind of a not unpleasant visage, but certainly a little bit weathered, and showing some signs that he has been in a few scrapes. But other than his face, he is, buttoned down, austere, wearing exactly what you would expect a well-heeled manservant to be wearing. A black jacket, pinstripes trousers. Although his black leather Wellington boots are very well worn if fastidiously maintained. Yeah, and likes to disparagingly read the latest historical novels.
Oh, don't tell us too much about his likes and
Well,
dislikes.
it's a vice, right? So
Oh, it's your vice. Oh,
yeah,
sorry, I
yeah.
beg your pardon. Yes, yes. Okay, I see. Right, romantic, historical romances. Great. Okay. I guess I just noticed as well that Angel's vice is shooting things. You don't say. Oh, you are
Yeah.
muted, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just anything. It's shooting things that people say I can't shoot, and then I prove them wrong.
Okay, we'll see how that one flies. Moving along, Greg, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to the mother.
Yeah, I'm Greg, he, him, and I'll be playing the mother, Marta Weiss, she, her. And yeah, she has a vermilion waistcoat, pale skin, leather Wellingtons, and her vice is Turkish baths. She has an excessive fascination with the human body.
And that's all we need to know.
And she's German. She has a German accent.
Okay, okay. And then let's come, Mendel, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to the vessel, who is, I believe, Moore's employer.
Yes, I'm still trying to figure that part out, but especially without backstory. But yeah, so I'm Mendel. I use he, him pronouns. I will be playing hence Unruh, the vessel who uses they, them pronouns. And the best way to describe, imagine a figure that is has abnormally long legs tied up in scarlet ribboned boots, way up to where you would expect the knee to be, and has on top of that a fairly stocky, rotund torso, wrapped in various coats and tapped with a top hat upon which various purple ribbons of different darker shades fly, and from beneath those they gaze out with mismatched eyes.
Wow. And what is Hence's vice?
Hence's vice is absinthe, because for most people, absinthe causes them to hear and see things, and it does quite the opposite for Hence.
And I noticed that Hence has mismatched eyes. Do you want to just fill us in on that?
So my initial read when I saw that was that one eye was substantially larger than the other, and it would undoubtedly be the left eye.
Okay.
So that will be their sinister eye, shall we say?
Okay, they have a sinister eye and an unsinister eye. Okay. Now this is a game. If I now run through cats, the Between is a role-playing game about a group of mysterious monster hunters in Victorian era London. These hunters learn about various monstrous threats in the city and conduct investigation or hunts in order to neutralize them. Over time, they become aware of the plans of a criminal mastermind who is pulling the strings behind the scenes. The hunters may eventually be forced to confront that mastermind in order to save Queen and Country, but I'm not sure we'll get there in this series of 5 sessions. The Between is directly inspired by the TV show Penny Dreadful, and perhaps from those descriptions you will have been able to pick out some of the characters. But it also takes inspiration from British horror classics, the works of Arthur Conan Doyle, pulp era media, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and From Hell. The game's mechanics are based on Apocalypse World and Brindlewood Bay, and we will be working our way through the mechanics, as this is the first time any of us have played the game as we play. The aim of the characters in the story is to keep London safe by investigating these monstrous threats and learning how to stop them. Our aim as players is to learn more about these characters and their mysterious pasts, as well as to paint a vivid picture of our version of Victorian era London. And that's a responsibility we'll all share mechanically and simply in play. The aim of today's session will be to introduce our characters, learn the basics of how the game is played by playing it, and then we'll have a debrief at the end just to see how that went. The game is divided into very clear phases, and I've got them written down, stuck to the bottom of my monitor so I can try to stick to them. The tone of the between is dark. It is dark, mysterious, and sensual. A little bit of levity or humor from time to time is okay, but we'll always try to return to that dark, brooding place the characters exist in. This is Gothic Victorian London. In terms of subject matter, murder, cannibalism, body horror, dark sexual themes, erotic sensuality, threats to animals and children, foul language, blasphemy, witchcraft, the defiling of graves and corpses are all things that come up in this game. We'll talk about safety tools in a moment, but in the interest of setting expectations right now, we should all know that this game deals with dark and intense subject matter. And for that reason, the safety tools are going to be very important. We're going to be playing with an open door. That's very simple. If any of the players need to step away from the table, step away from the game for any reason, there's no reason to explain yourself. Just let us know you have to go. No one will ask any questions. If you come back, that's great, but don't feel obliged to. We're also going to be using the X card. The X card is there in case we do come on something that makes somebody feel uncomfortable in an unfun way. The best way to play the X card when you're playing with me is to just make the X or put it in the chat. I'll be honest with you, I'm not very good at monitoring the chat. So if another player spots that the X card has been played in the chat and I don't seem to have responded, please draw my attention to it. We'll stop the play in order to change whatever happened. We'll rewind. I might ask how far you want me to rewind and what you want me to avoid, but I won't ask why you want me to avoid it. I will simply rewind and then play forward, hopefully avoiding that material or anything else that people find unfun. We'll also be using lines and veils. Lines are things that are not going to come up in the fiction. Veils are things that we're okay with being in the fiction, but we don't really want to see them on screen. We don't want to role play them. We want to keep those off screen. And there is a safety tab where I've asked people to put down their lines and veils. And as I speak, we are playing with lines on sexual assault, sexual violence, on racism, homophobia, and transphobia. And we're playing with veils on alcoholism, bullying, cannibalism, childhood abandonment, drug abuse, harm to children, harm to pets and domestic animals, sexual contact, slavery, suicide, and torture. So in those circumstances, they may well crop up, but we will be fading to black or focusing the camera somewhere else when that is going on, because we don't want to be role playing that stuff. Okay, we know who our characters are, but before we get further into the game, I just want to add a little bit about the setting. So all of these characters, the hunters, are the current residents of a place called Hargrave House. Hargrave House is a Gothic mansion on Belgrave Square in London, one of the most select and expensive pieces of real estate in Victorian London. The people who live there share the common goal of defending the city from whatever dark forces are lurking in its shadows, be it monster or murderer. They operate outside official channels, frequently tackling cases that Scotland Yard can't or won't. Importantly, Hargrave House has existed for a long time, long before these characters took up residence there. And the previous residents were doing the same work. By the time we join these characters, they have already been living and working together for a time, so they know each other as well as we, the audience, do. We don't dwell on how they came to live in Hargrave House, nor do we care who owns or funds the place. We may learn more about those things in the future, but for now, Hargrave House it's just the place. It's what these characters call home. Another thing to know is that these characters are to remain mysterious. we will avoid talking about their past, both in and out of character, unless we are prompted to do so by the game's rules. We do this because we want to learn about these mysterious characters in this mysterious setting as we play. It's a little bit like watching really good TV. We don't learn everything about the characters at once. The information is given to us in pieces at dramatically impactful moments in the story, and often through flashbacks. So we are playing today with the Vessel. The Vessel is basically a magic user. They're in regular contact with and the obsession of dark entities that give them their powers. And the Vessel will be exploring their history with these dark entities, as well as with a coven of witches they used to be a member of, but have since fled. We are playing with the American. The American is a gunslinger from America's Wild West. They grew up probably with great privilege, but abandoned that for the frontier life. Along the way, they picked up a curse that sometimes changes them into a feral beast. Throughout the game, we'll be exploring with the American how they came to leave their privileged life and why they eventually fled to London. We're playing with the Mother. The Mother is a highly talented doctor and scientist. They lost someone they love and are using that heartbreak to fuel their creation. They are creating a person crafted from the body parts of others, and they will give it life by experimental alchemical processes. Through the game, we'll explore with the Mother their past with the person they lost and why they were driven to create a new form of life. And then finally, the Fact Totem. The Fact Totem, in our case, an employee of our vessel, is one of the other hunters. They are a skilled operator, resourceful and practical. When the other hunters are mired in darkness, the Fact Totem is busy getting the job done. And we'll explore with together their professional past and how they came to be a servant. So this is as much a game about discovering stuff and revealing stuff and creating backstory about the players as it is about addressing threats, solving mysteries, answering shadowy questions. So with all that in mind, let's begin by doing what I need to do, which is I need to tell you which phase of the game we are in. There are 4 phases of the game. We start in the day, we move to dusk, to night, to the following dawn, and round again. And in each of those phases, different stuff happens, and the flavor is different. So in the day section, we open. It is daytime. It is perhaps morning on Belgrave Square. Perhaps there is the clatter of a carriage being drawn past, a rather rich-looking carriage, because rich people live in Belgrave Square. There, yes, let me ask this question of More. More, a rather scurrilous publication called the Illustrated Police News is always full of salacious rubbish for the most part, but for as long as it has been published, Hargrave House has had this on order. So every week, this is delivered to the house. And as you pick up today's copy in the hall and head off to add it to the, perhaps place it in the library or maybe the morning room, where the ranked collective volumes of the Illustrated Police News are kept, who do you see leafing through one of the back volumes of the Police News More?
So is it only we 4 who live in the house?
Only you
Okay.
4.
Yeah, so I think we see our American friend, the Angel, leafing through a back issue, a few volumes back maybe.
So, Angel, in this back issue of the Illustrated Police News, and as I say, it's a tabloid notorious for carrying salacious, blood-curdling tales of dubious provenance. But there is a story of a young maid, Ginny Hess, who was found dead, apparently from shock, in her employer's St. James's Street townhouse some months ago. The story claims the townhouse is haunted, and it was almost certainly the appearance of a ghost that caused the young maid to die of fright. The address of this supposed haunting is 18 St. James's Street, and the name of the family that lives there is the Beals. Now, Angel, most tales of hauntings are complete nonsense, especially those carried in the Illustrated Police News. But Hargrave House has some experience with ghosts, and a particular detail of this story confirms that this is a legitimate haunting. What is that particular detail?
I think I think that there is mention of a sulfurous smell that is that is a sign of a hostile haunting.
Fine. So do you, having shared that, Angel, with what would be really helpful, Greg, can you put your character's name on the Zoom? Because I will forget. Hence, when Angel shares this with you, what's your immediate reaction?
Sulfur. Well, I mean, there could be any number of explanations for that, of course, but it is probably worth checking out. Who knows?
Marta, what about you? What's your reaction when Angel says there's more to this story than meets the eye?
Yeah, Marta is she's kind of lost in her own thoughts. She's sketching in a book of different body parts, and she's like, what would a human look like, if the arms, were attached to the front of the body, not the sides. So she's, and she's just, so I would say she's a little aloof, and she's like, I got nothing going on this afternoon. Let's check it out.
And so as you all depart to your personal quarters in Hargrave House to put on your outerwear and perhaps more to call the carriage, conceivably, let's just see you in your quarters. Again, I'm going to start on the left of the character keeper. I'm going to ask each of the other characters something that Angel has in her personal quarters. So let's start with Moore. What do you think Angel O'Neill has in her personal quarters, given what we know about her so far?
I wonder if we don't see some grandiose posters of her career back across the Atlantic. Those fabulously popular Wild West shows that would advertise her extraordinary gunmanship.
Okay, so do you want to add those posters of your past career, Constance, to your personal quarters? Moving along, Marta, what do you think that we see in Angel's personal quarters?
I think we see okay, and let me know if this is I think what it is there's going to be a picture of two young girls. They had pictures back then, right?
A daguerreotype.
Yes. And so it'll be a picture of two young girls. We'll say like both 4 years old.
Well, let's just leave it as open as we can, and then we can add flesh to it later.
Yeah. Two young girls.
A picture of two young girls. Okay. And finally, hence, what do you think the camera notices as it follows Angel to her room?
A well-worn yellowed book purporting to be the Romances of John Dee.
Okay, the Romances of John Dee. And then more, as you go to get your top coat, I shall start by asking, I'll keep going to the right on the character. I will start by asking Marta what it is that we see in Moore's room. His is much more
Yeah.
room than a personal quarters, I tend to think, but maybe not.
Yeah. Let me see here. How about we see a military medal?
One of those little kind of framed, yeah, okay, a framed military medal. Hence, what do you think we see in Moore's quarters?
A partially assembled cuckoo clock.
A partially
Whoa.
assembled cuckoo clock. Okay. And then coming back round to Angel. Angel, what do you think we see in Moore's quarters?
A collection of unsent love letters.
Oh, gee. Gosh, I'm already beginning to feel that Moore is going to be the emotional core of this team. Let's move to Marta. As Marta heads up to her quarters to dress for the outdoors. Hence, what do we notice in Marta's personal quarters?
I think that there's a pressed collection of flowers behind a glass, like behind a, like hanging on the wall. There's like a collection of flowers pressed, behind sort of like a glass panel.
Fine, fine. Angel, what do you think we see in Marta's personal quarters?
Let's see here. Right, I think. Yeah, I think like Yeah, I think an old surgeon's kit spread out across the table.
Yeah. And finally, Moore, what do you think we see in Marta's quarters?
I think up against a wall, there is a low shelf. And maybe as the door opens, a draft, whatever's on the shelf is covered with some kind of blanket or covering that flutters up when the wind catches it with the draft. And underneath it, we see a series of heavy glass jars filled with liquid and something that looks like teeth, or something.
Or something. Heavy glass
Or something.
jars containing something. Great. Okay. And then we come to Hence, as Hence makes their way, to their quarters. Angel, what do we notice in Hence's rooms?
I think an expensive outfit we've never actually seen her wear, or they wear.
Okay. What about Moore? what do you see in your, what do we see in your employer's rooms?
I think we see a heavy mirror in the style of the Regency. It's quite corrupted and warped. The silvering has started to flake away, and it's obviously just the camera angle because we do not see Hence's reflection in it.
So yeah, a warped mirror in all senses. Fine, okay. And Marta, what about you?
I think we see a voodoo doll.
An almost traditional choice, but I get that. So there's a voodoo doll. And then I get to add something to each of your quarters. So let me see, what have we got so far? I think I will add to Angel's quarters a Bowie knife. Seems to me she's the kind of gal that carries a Bowie knife. Maybe I'm too locked into the violence now, but I think that we see more has a blackjack, a leather blackjack. Marta, I think we see kind of degree certificates, framed degree certificates in a range of subjects. Clearly, you are much too well qualified to do what you currently do. And finally, yeah, I have to go for an upside down cross. No. I am going to go for a set of black candles for Hence. I don't see why we shouldn't run headlong into genre here. And so more calls for a carriage. And are you all going to go to St. James's Street, or shall I go around and see? I know that I think that Marta felt that it was worth a visit. What about Hence? Or do you want to do something else with your day?
No, I think it is worth checking out. I think it's almost it's the thing about the Brimstone clues that it's so it's the kind of thing that a ghost would be leave as a calling card, as a way to invite investigation. So perhaps we should take it up on that offer.
And more, am I going to assume that you accompany your employer?
I mean, as Hence goes, so go I think, unless directed otherwise.
And finally, Angel, are you going to take a trip to St. James's Street, or do you have other plans for your...
Well, it was my damn idea.
So a four-wheeler then, I think, more is what we see setting out, picking you up outside Hargrave House, and setting out, and this will give us a chance to just take a kind of tour around Belgrave Square, where we will note that while Hargrave House has a distinctly as behind Gothic appearance, it's very out of kilter with all the other buildings in Belgrave Square, which are all in a kind of neoclassical pillared kind of temple-like structures. And given that we are at 53 minutes to the hour, I'm going to suggest that where we take our first break. Can I suggest we're back on the hour? I will pause the recording.
Sounds good.
Okay, back from our break. So the four-wheeler is making its way. Now, St. James's Street is not far away. It's probably in Kensington somewhere, I guess. And it's the kind of neighborhood where up-and-coming families, so they're family houses with room for servants. We know that they had a maid who died. So they're well put together houses, but they're not Belgrave Square. They are for the aspiring middle class, I suppose I would describe it. And so as you pull up outside number 18, Moore, you're the protocol expert here. Who should knock on the door?
I think it should be me, and maybe I have a card of my masters to present. And even if it's a little bit high class for the neighborhood, the middle class usually appreciate those kinds of gestures.
I think they certainly do. So I think that's entirely appropriate. So certainly I think that Hens and Marta will wait in the coach, in the four-wheeler, because it would be terribly embarrassing were you to get out of the carriage and then be turned away. That would be socially disastrous. But certainly I think Moore should go and knock on the door. But I'm curious, Angel, you know, you're the outsider here. What's your instinct about how you come at this?
Oh well, when you said who do you think was when Moore volunteered for that, I was immediately thinking, yeah, Moore volunteers to do it first, but Constant jumps out of the the coach to knock on the door herself. But if Moore is interested in kind of introducing the scene, I'm fine with Moore taking it.
I think it's rather good if Moore gets out in this rather elegant manner and walks up the 3 steps to find Angel just, you know, leaning on the railing, you know, waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and knock on the door, Moore.
Well, I mean, I'm happy if the Angel steals the place at the door and, you know, bangs on it with her fist or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, ignores the rather attractively molded brass lion jaw that you would normally knock with, just bang, bang, bang. And there's a pause, and you can hear some kind of commotion behind, and then the door opens, and a short, blocky woman in a mop cap, and she smells of boiled cabbage and tobacco. And she's dressed in a rather dowdy blue dress, and she looks at Angel as if to say, "What on earth is this?" What do you say or do, Angel, when she looks at you that way?
Well, hello there, ma'am. I'm a representative of the American Friends of England. We're here on a sort of diplomatic mission of sorts, and well, we were looking for a emblematic symbol. Wasn't that the word we were using more? To sort of the fine upstanding folks of England, and this house has a fine look to it. Do you mind if this is for a report we're sending back to the States? Do you mind if we have a look about?
Now I think it's time to engage a mechanic. Now during the day, you will normally use the day move, and the day move has slightly lower level consequences than the night move. We might use a night move during daylight hours if things are a bit risky. But if you have a look at the reference tab, it says the day move. When you do something risky or to face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen. Now, you know, I think this is just about how she reacts. Yeah. So what are you afraid will go wrong here, Angel?
I mean, I guess I'm afraid that she'll like I mean, I guess the obvious thing is I'm afraid she'll slam the door in her face, but I also feel like that would stymie us a little bit. But sure, I think that's probably it.
Okay. Now I think that this is you trying to charm someone, really, or to con them at least. So yeah. I think this is rolling with presence. So it's a straightforward PBTA, 2d6 plus presence.
Cool. That is a 9.
Okay, so on a 9, on 7 to 9, the keeper will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. I think that the way that this woman reacts to you is her jaw drops, and she looks to Moore and says, "Sir, is this person with you?" Clearly, Angel is going to be well beneath the salt at the Beale household.
So I think, Moore has been standing very impassively through this display. But I think, you may recognize it from any manner of strange things that Hens has done. And he just stands there and essentially nods that this is all kosher or above board, even if it seems strange.
Let me pause you there for a moment then, because I need to ask Angel, are you content for this to go like that? Or you could put on a Janus mask and improve your outcome from 7 to 9 to 10 plus.
Let's see.
If you check out the Janus mask, you'll find it from about row 44 down. There's the mask of the past, which only reveals itself one step at a time, and then there is the mask of the future, which you can choose anyone you like. And you can always do that, folks. I will describe the consequences of anything that goes on, and you then have the option of putting on the mask, and things don't go that way, they go a different way. What are you thinking, Constance?
Oh, I can put a threat into play, and I don't know if I can resist that. I mean, yeah, I think that I will. Like, I see I have the moss-covered gate. Narrate a scene in which you receive. Now, do I need to do this immediately, or do we do this during like the night phase or something?
We have to do it. Let me just get this right. We have to do it before the next dawn ends.
Okay. So I'll probably wait on that a little bit, just because it doesn't seem like let me pull out this letter I received from my parents in the middle of the investigation.
Fine. So, but you have put on the mask, so it becomes a 10 plus, and she says, "Oh, sir, yes, miss," and stands aside. It's clear that she's not a maid. She's probably the cook, but maybe they've struggled to employ another maid after Ginny was found dead. I don't know. And so I'm seeing Angel marching in, while Moore politely waits, nods to Marta and Hens, and ushers them in and follows. So Marta, where are we? Yeah, so this blocky lady who curtsies, because once she sees Marta and Hens, who are clearly ladies or people of quality, she curtsies and said, "Oh, I'll just go and get the mistress," and curtsies again, bobs, and goes upstairs. So you're in the hall. I'm just curious, Marta, do you want to stay in the hall and wait, or do you want to be nosy?
Yeah.
Marta will walk around a bit. She kind of has an air that she has a very composed, maybe a little bit stuck up air about her. And I think maybe it's her German, whatever, gives that air of her in England. So yeah, she'll poke around.
Well, there's a door ajar on your right, which would probably be into the sitting room, and then just a little bit further along the hall, another door off on one side, which is probably the dining room.
Yeah, she'll just walk around as if she's admiring the house, as if she owns the place, like hide in plain sight kind of deal. So yeah, we'll say she'll look at the sitting room.
Okay. So the sitting room, The first of two main rooms on the ground floor contains a small library and enough seating for the family and a few visitors. What in this room indicates that the Beals are living a little bit above their station?
Let's say that there are some small, or how about the, let's see, I'm thinking they'll have some small thing. How about they have some very fancy, like maybe like I'm thinking like a silver, like a serving tray that's very decorative, that's kind of on the wall. And so this is like the one thing that's like real nice, a very expensively made thing with some artisan's, symbol in it. Indicating like that's supposed to impress people, and it's definitely nicer than everything else in the room.
Right. So everything's a little bit down at heel apart from that.
Yeah.
Fine. Hence, do you follow Marta into the sitting room, or do you have a different plan?
Yes, I will. I'll mutter something to some of the voices that I don't care what the cook does with chicken feathers, and I'm going to leave it at that.
And in you go to the sitting room. Let me go to Moore. Moore, what are you content to wait in the hall?
I think I shall be waiting at the foot of the stairs, maybe with one foot on the first step, because this kind of invasion of privacy, while obviously warranted, maybe is best not discovered immediately when they return with the mistress.
Fine, fine. And what about Angel? Again, obviously concerned about propriety. What is Angel going to do?
I think I'll probably actually wait there with more, because it is part of our bluff coming in that if I were just immediately, hey, let's wander off.
Yeah. So you want to sustain that bluff? Okay.
Yes.
Hence, you follow Marta into the sitting room, and what do we see you doing? Are you kind of looking around? I mean, are you looking for any indications of a ghost? For all I know.
I mean, I think very clearly I'd like to just get like sort of find an unoccupied corner, which is perhaps much harder to do in Victorian decorating than usual.
Yeah.
Where I can sort of lean against a wall and lay my hands and feel sort of the breathing of the house.
Now that seems to me that you are engaging the information move, and it sounds like you're using your sensitivity, your connection to the world. Is that fair? Or are you just looking with your ordinary eyes?
I think that's fair. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right,
I think
I will roll.
You're rolling with sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a 5 plus 1 is a 6. I'm
Not a bad roll.
That's a good place to start. It's the only way is up after that. So I think that I am going to give you a clue. And you find a place in the corner where you can survey the room, next to a vase that contains blood. And when you look around the room and you look back, you're sure it didn't contain blood a moment ago. But when you step away from it, you nudge the little table it's on, and it falls to the ground and smashes. And I am going to give you the condition. You'll find a place for conditions just below those characteristics. I'm going to give you the condition shocked, because even someone as connected to the dark world as you, that was a pretty overt signal, because when they smash, there are in fact some deep red carnations in there, not blood at all. But the clue is, and now we need to keep track of where we're at. If you go to the threats, blood-filled vase, exactly so. So, Marta, what were you doing? Now I must remember to do this. I must offer hence the chance to put on a mask to improve that to a 7 to 9. I'm sorry, I must remember to do that.
It is my policy not to put masks or crowns on when I have a 6-.
Okay.
I find it more interesting to
bear in mind, folks, that
yes.
the advice to the keeper, the referee in this game, is to push hard, and to threaten you with actual death, real death. But the choice remains in your hands because of the mask. Just an aside on that.
Okay,
Marta, when Hens went over to the corner and then there's a smash, what do you do as you've been looking around? Are you paying particular attention to anything, or are you just casting your eye about as if to see what can I see here?
Yeah. So I think what Marta does is she is always interested in like who lives in the house, are they big, are they small, all the features, physical features of the people, right? So that's what she's always thinking about and wondering of. And so she's wondering like, this maid who passed away, was she young, was she old? And so she sees this this thing fall down, and she asks Hence, did you have another one of your spells again?
Hence, what's your response?
I certainly did not intend to cause that to happen. Did you see anything else in that vase?
I didn't even notice it.
You were too busy looking at this photograph album.
Yes, yeah.
Let's have you roll to investigate, Marta.
All right.
And I think this is I'm thinking this is reason or composure to keep your cool. Now that somebody smashed some of the Beale's not very good possessions.
All right, yeah, we'll roll composure.
Oh, can I? Yeah, just the dice roller. You can see there's a solid colored square at the top there. If you click on that, you can select a different color for your dice.
Okay, I didn't know if it really even mattered, but
I mean it doesn't. But I just
yeah. All right, there we go. Let me roll these because there we go. Oh, 4, 5.
Plus 1 is a 6.
Well, 4, 5 total, but yeah, doesn't matter, right?
Unless you want to put on a Janus mask.
Yeah. Let's put on a Janus mask. So the future are things that will happen.
Well, the future are complications that will then come on the table, I guess. The past is the way in which you reveal that backstory that we've been desperately trying to avoid mentioning.
Yeah, the future, if you'll note, has one. Effectively, it means eventually, if you mark everything else, eventually you'll have to mark that you die.
Ah, cool. I like that. All right. Well, I don't know, cosmic passage. Increase sensitivity by 1. What can go wrong there?
Okay. So you mark that, increase your sensitivity by 1 up to a maximum of 3. But so that turns that into a marginal success. So on a marginal success with the information move, on a 79, there's a complication, either with the clue itself or a complication you encountered while searching. I think what I will say is that when you pulled the little photograph album off the shelf, a book fell out, and so you put the book back up, and then as you were leafing it, there was a crash, and then the book fell out off the shelf again. So
Well,
the clue
go on.
is the same book keeps falling off the library shelf.
Well, the shelf must be broken. That can only be the only explanation.
And what you notice is it's a ghoulish novel about a wife who murders her husband.
Ah.
And that is the book you have in your hand when you hear Moore and Angel talking to a woman in the hall. Moore, let's describe Alice Beale. She comes to the top of the stairs, she looks down, and she has a fragile, almost porcelain look about her, this woman. A simple tartan dress, and she looks rather kind of frightened, to be honest, that she's got two strangers in her hall. And behind her is Mrs. Thicket, the cook. Madam, this is the lady and the gentleman. And Alice kind of comes down the stairs rather slowly and hesitantly and says, I don't quite know why you're here. Did I hear a crash? Because you will have heard that vase going over in the sitting room. More? What do you do?
So the front room is as yet unoccupied. So I think maybe
the front room is the sitting room,
okay,
where Marta and Hens are throwing stuff about.
So maybe I will take a step back and like point an invitation hand to the back room. Well, perhaps we can go into the study to discuss exactly what we are here for. And
she seems, I mean, you are dressed like a gentleman's gentleman, and so I think she will take your lead, because she seems socially uncomfortable, I think it's fair to say. And she says, oh, very well then. Mrs. Thicket, could you bring tea to the dining room? And I'm guessing that Moore and Angel and Mrs. Beale go into the dining room. The second of the two main rooms on the ground floor features a long polished table that can seat up to 8, a curio cabinet, and serving trolley. Moore, you've been in a lot of dining rooms in your time. Does Mrs. Beale have splendid taste or rather disappointing taste? What do you see that confirms this?
I think the items here are, I mean, quite good quality, but I think maybe old, and maybe they were picked up in an estate sale or something like that. So good value, but with kind of wouldn't go astray at a much higher class table. Yeah. So
she's got an eye for a bargain at least.
Yeah, I think so.
And she says, please sit down, and sits at the table with a, and Mrs. Thicket wasn't entirely clear how I could help.
And I think I'll look over at Constance to, you've started digging the hole. You can find your own way through this.
Oh, yes.
Do for me to contradict her.
Yeah, you see, here with us, we're with the American Friends of the English Society, and well, you see, back in the States, we do not have this thing that you British have called history, so we have to import it from other places for ourselves. So we were wondering, since this seems to be such a fine, upstanding example of the model English home, if you could elucidate for us some of the history of this house.
I'm sure you should talk to my husband. I don't quite know what to say. I suppose I think that Constance, let's have you engage with the information move to see what, if anything, comes out of this conversation.
Okay. And I guess, am I still rolling with presence?
It seems to me that you are still, hustling.
Yeah. That's fair.
Oh, wow.
It's a 6.
Holy schmoly. Angel, would you like to put on a mask in order to improve that from a fail to a marginal success?
I mean, we're only running for what, 4 or 5 sessions? I might as well.
So which one are you going to go for this time?
I'll pull up a mark of the past.
Okay, so what does the mark of the past say? Narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the high level of privilege you were born into. So tick that, and I think we'll do that now.
Yeah, I think actually we flash back to a dining room very much like this one. And I think that I was born into, because I think the next one is, yeah, arrogant, willful brat, and yeah, sorry, I was just looking. I think that like we flash back to like this very kind of kind of quiet sitting room, and I think probably like I am reading a book when my mother comes in and kind of thwacks me across the knuckles with a swatch, and more or less saying like, this isn't reading is no pastime for a young lady. It's important that you it's important that you take up your etiquette lessons immediately. And I think that's kind of the flashback there.
And we might see a governess in the background,
Yeah,
with a pile of books ready to balance on your head as you walk
yeah.
round the sitting room. Okay, no, I think we get a flavour for Angel's past there. Thank you. I am conscious I've still got a 6 to play with for Marta that I've not come to yet. I just want to keep that on the shelf.
But didn't I up it? Didn't I up it to the?
Oh, you did. I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
You did. I forgot. There's quite a, yeah. Do keep me honest on this, folks. It's taken me a little while to begin to kind of track everything that's going on. I think then that gives you a 7 to 9 on the information move. There's a complication to the clue, either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. Okay, I think that she is very loath to tell you much without her husband being present. And I think that the impression that you get is this is not a happy marriage. I'm going to give you the clue: rumors of an arranged marriage gone awry. Yeah. But so that is the clue you get. I'm afraid you don't get much about the house at all, but you get a distinct impression that that this marriage is in trouble. More, how do you want to contribute to this conversation, or are you content to just observe?
Yeah, I wonder if so the servant, the cook has left.
Yes.
So I wonder if I excused myself, maybe Mrs. Beale would be more forthright with Constance. So
speak to another woman, perhaps.
yeah.
So you've got to go and just take the air in the back garden.
Yeah, I
for
will
instance.
excuse myself, and maybe take a look at the back, or in the servants' quarters, if there are
And
any.
I think at the back you'll see some steps down to the basement where the kitchen is, and you will see Mrs. Thicket kind of pegging out wet clothes in the garden.
And I think maybe, we see Moore's kind of uptightness relax, right? He's just another servant talking to the his peer, if you will, and maybe the accent slips a little bit, and he wonders. I think it's you're all here, you're working for the family all by yourself, no one else.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we've not been able to keep a maid after poor. Oh no, I mustn't talk about that. But yes, we've not managed to retain a maid for a month or so, and it's running me ragged, running me absolutely ragged. It is.
Since poor Ginny, was it?
And she goes, how do you know about that?
Well, you just said it.
Oh, did I? Yes, poor Ginny. Poor Ginny. She was a good girl, Ginny. Worked hard, and then just fell over dead one day.
Oh, I was going to guess, scandal with the master of the house, but fell over dead seems much more serious.
I mean, it really sad. All sorts of rumors, rubbish, of course, rubbish.
Mm-hmm. You can set them straight, surely, Mrs. Ticket.
Well, nobody listens to me, sir. Who's listened to me?
Well,
we had members of the Yellow Press at the door, all manner of things, and me run ragged.
Well, people like us need to stick together. We know how the world really works, don't we?
Indeed we do, sir. Indeed we do. I don't know how you managed to work for that foreign young woman, dressed as she is.
Well, thankfully I don't.
Oh.
My employer is someone else entirely, someone of a far better cut.
Oh, I see. Well, you did look like a proper gentleman's gentleman, I must say.
Well, thank you. But maybe if you told me the truth to poor Ginny's passing, my master might be able to set people straight.
That sounds like you triggered the information move, and it sounds to me. I mean, you tell me. I'm thinking this is. It feels a bit like charm. It feels a bit like presence, but it could be. It could be reason or composure. It's keeping your cool while you're telling a story. Because you're not lying to her.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I'm not entirely honest, but I'm kind of setting out a very reasonable course of events for
let's
her.
roll with reason.
Okay, so let me roll 2d6. Oh, I've hit it twice. Let me get rid of a couple of those, and
I mean, that's some kind of advantage roll.
Yeah, I hit it twice, unfortunately. So let me just get rid of these two, and I will re-roll the other two.
Gosh, you lot are really
having
to work hard.
That is a 6 total.
Well, would you like to put on a Janus mask to improve that?
I think, given that I have mentioned how my employer is a better class of person, I think maybe I will choose the Gilded Door. And this doesn't benefit me at all, obviously. This is tell my employer to take the following condition: most beloved. But it means that no one else can choose this option on their own playbook. It's not marked, though.
Fine. So hence add most beloved as your condition. Your
I feel
employer can.
compelled to ask now, what happens if I exceed 3 conditions?
Yeah. I mean, well, we'll when you get to 2 conditions.
I am at 2 conditions now.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, then there is a move that is, if you go to reference, you'll see the vulnerable move, bottom left. When you have an intimate moment with another hunter while one of you is engaged in your vice, you may clear an appropriate condition. If it's your vice, you can also blah, blah, blah. So there's a relatively straightforward way to guarantee getting rid of a condition. I will come to you in a moment.
Otherwise, if you have 3 conditions and you need to take one, you have to mark one of those masks.
Yeah. So you need to start thinking about having a moment of solace with somebody else in order to get rid of one of those. But let me go back to Moore.
I mean, I'm sure my hip flask has some absinthe in it, you know, for this very occasion.
For this very occasion. So you get a clue, and what I think you'll get is that she tells you that Ginny just fell down dead. She was dusting and fell down dead. But there is evidence of a similar death in the house decades earlier. So you can add that clue. And she thinks the house has got a reputation now. That's why they can't find another maid. And she says, and to be honest, Mr. Moore, if I was to be offered a job somewhere else, I might look very seriously at it. My cabbage is the talk of St. James's Street.
Well, I smelt it when I came in. It smells like home to my nose. You have to give me some kind of complication.
I do.
And a thirst for cabbage water doesn't seem quite enough.
I think she insists you join her in the kitchen for a bowl of cabbage.
Okay.
So you were going to be tied up in the kitchen, leaving everyone else to cope without your common sense.
Well, you know, they've got to learn sometime. I've got to cut those apron strings.
So let's go back to Hence and Marta in the sitting room. There's still a mess on the floor. There's this book that keeps falling off a shelf, but it's only the one book. And when you put the photograph album back up, it falls off again. And you pick it up and put it back. And I think, Marta, I'm going to give you a condition, which is worried, because this is not scientifically understandable. You know, that you've looked at that shelf, it's level. The other books don't fall off. The book about the ghoulish plans of a wife to kill her husband do fall off. Hence, are you just going to leave the mess, or are you going to do anything to cover up, or indeed Marta, or are you just going to leave the broken vase and carnations?
I'm thinking I will hurriedly attempt to pick up the shards of the vase and the carnations and hide them in one of the various pieces of furniture or various equipment that lies within a sitting room. Perhaps
other vases.
Yes, that sounds reasonable. And if the carnations are salvageable, could place them in there. And meanwhile, I will contemplate if I do recall what the meaning of red carnations is.
Is that something you want to contemplate with Marta? I.e., are you looking to trigger the vulnerable move?
I don't know that, I'm going to bring it up with Marta. I don't know that either of us are in a position to trigger the vulnerable move right now.
Because you're some distance from your vice, aren't you?
If I recall, Marta's vice is also somewhat difficult to accomplish without
is.
another person
It
in the
is.
room.
So it does sound like you need to find more, hence. Because it does sound to me like you need a shot of absinthe. I'm just putting that on the table. Marta, what about you?
Yeah, Marta is, she's worried about this book, and maybe she doesn't even want to touch it, but she kind of gives it to Hence and says, I think she always jokes around, and let me know if this is appropriate, Hence, is maybe she always refers to Hence's dark uncle as
No, I think you're digging too much into backstory.
Guess what I meant is, so Hence deals with otherworldly things. Is that correct?
Yes.
So can I allude to, this is your expertise. You're into the weird stuff. I'm into science. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just go, this looks like up your alley. And she points that this keeps falling out, and maybe she even like puts it in and shows him, but I think Marta, if possible, would want to talk woman to woman to the wife.
So head into the dining room.
Yeah.
Where
The
Angel...
idea. Yeah.
Okay. When Marta goes out into the hall, Marta, you'll see a young boy looking over the banister down at you.
Yeah. And of course she takes notice of him, and she's very fond of children. And she's just kind of like, oh, well, hello there, young chap.
Are you doing this loudly so his mother in the room just off the hall hears, or are you trying to have this?
No, I think she hides in plain sight, sort of deal. So she just says it normal voice,
Okay.
so not necessarily trying to hide. Yeah.
Okay. And he says, hello, madam. And he kind of edges down the stairs. Are you a friend of my mother's?
Well, I'm here to help your mother. Uh, Seems, how are things here? Are you happy in this house?
I mean, he's ruddy cheeked. He's wearing one of those kind of child sailor's outfits. I guess he's about 9 or 10, and he's got a bit of a glint in his eye.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I thought that that mother might have agreed to my plan.
Oh, what sort of plan is this? I'm sure it's a very good one.
That we charge a penny to have people tour the house, and we call it the St. James's Street Ghost Tour.
Ooh, I would pay a penny for that.
Really?
Where would you take them in the house?
Do you have a penny?
Yeah, I'll pull out a little purse and hold it up very emphatically.
And he puts his hands out and says, shall we go on the tour?
Yeah, is this going to be your first? Am I the first one?
You are, madam.
Oh,
you are.
excellent. Yes, please lead the way, young master.
And he heads upstairs with you in tow behind. Meanwhile, in the dining room, Angel, yes, you're not getting much out of Mrs. Beale, it must be said. She seems very reticent, and she begins to look at the clock on the fireplace mantelpiece, and she says, my husband will be home soon. I'm not sure that he'd want me to be speaking to you.
I think while the kind of other scenes were going on, I think just to kind of establish Constance has been kind of going around the room and making polite compliments on her objects.
Using her acuity to see what she could see.
No, I think I was just being polite.
Okay. Okay.
I think because I was gonna take another tack, and I think that I might be able to bring this in here. I think as I'm looking around, I think also with that bit of established past now, I think I kind of not many people think it, but I grew up in a place like this. It was a very nice kind of house, but I cluck and shake my head as I look around. Wasn't a happy place. And I pull out that little daguerreotype that we saw earlier from my coat. Had a sister, you see, and a twin sister. And actually, I want to make sure, because we did bring up harm to children, but would bringing in a sister that died of polio when I was young be...
I think we're veiling harm to children.
Okay.
Aren't we? So I think referring to it is fine.
Okay, cool. She died of polio when we were both little, and my mother never got over it. You know, some houses you just can't make happy no matter how much you try.
Are you trying? Yeah, you're clearly trying to get her to spill something else, aren't you?
Yeah.
So okay, the information move. This is. I don't think this is. This sounds more like composure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because it's really bringing up a bit of your past and opening yourself up a bit.
Yeah.
So let's have you roll with composure for the information move.
And by marking that, I roll with advantage, right?
You
so
do.
3 dice.
You roll 3 dice.
So hopefully I can roll more of a 6.
What can I tell you?
Okay, that is a 10.
That is more than a 6. Yeah. So on 10 plus, I want to hit you. Find a clue, and the keeper will tell you what it is, and there is no complication for me to keep coming up with. So I think. What can I tell you? I think that as you're talking about the death of your sister, you can see that Mrs. Beale is getting a little bit flushed, and seems to be having trouble swallowing, and she has a kind of simple choker, and she's giving every appearance of being choked. You can have as a clue, a tightening felt around someone's throat. But I'm curious what you do in this circumstance.
I kind of because I guess, I mean, it looks like she's being choked, but I guess the first thought that it would occur to me is that she's choking on something. And I kind of try to give her a hard pat on the back and say, "Are you okay, Mrs. Beale? Are you choking on something?" And I kind of go.
Hence, I will say that you're in the room next door. You will hear this. So let me know if you want to go next door into the.
Oh, I will. I'm going to slip the book into a pocket and then rush into the other room.
Okay, Angel. So you're kind of tapping her on the back, yeah, and and she looks. She's got tea and there are some biscuits, but she hasn't eaten a biscuit. Hence, you step into the room, and Mrs. Beale, who has yet to meet you, clearly you are rather eccentrically dressed, but then so is Angel. And Mrs. Beale, I just need a cup of tea. What's your reaction to what you've seen go on in here, hence?
Um, I mean, is she like turning blue? Is she starting to show signs of actual, like, serious?
She was, and then as Angel hit her on the back.
Oh, okay.
It's not like she had anything in her throat.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But yeah, she was. Yeah, it was getting serious.
Okay.
How do you explain your presence once she's a little calmer?
Well, I mean, I heard her choking, so I came in.
Oh, fine. Just I was on the street. I heard you choking, and so I've come in.
Oh no, I'm not going to say from where. I mean,
Okay,
I see no reason to lie to her about it.
Fine. So what do we see you in terms of helping her compose herself?
I will probably try to fix my less sinister eye on hers, and try to talk her into breathing more calmly and relaxing, sort of the kind of thing that one does for grounding purposes when dealing with the otherworldly.
Okay, let's treat this as a day move, I think. So this sounds like, well, you tell me, is it your composure, or is it your reason, or is it your presence?
I feel like it's much more likely to be composure.
Fine. So roll with
if
composure.
I can calm down enough to calm her down.
Indeed. So let's have you roll with composure on the day move. What could go wrong here if you fail?
It could cause another attack, and her life could be in imminent peril.
Fine.
Or even mine.
Indeed. So go ahead. My goodness me, this gets better and better. Did I see a 4?
It should be a 5.
Okay.
Yes.
So she is about tea. She splutters tea out over Angel, over that threadbare duster, and it does feel like she's having another attack.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my hand on the tea table and look meaningfully at Moore.
No, Moore isn't there, sadly.
Moore isn't there.
Is confined to the kitchen with a bowl of cabbage.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So I'll probably look meaningfully at the angel and say, I think your boots are heavy enough.
Angel?
Wait, boots are heavy enough to do what now?
Since we are familiar with each other, I'm going to need you to step on my hand.
Oh, all right now. I can't say that I ever met anyone who enjoyed this kind of thing, but
a woman's life is at stake. Can you please hurry up?
I guess okay, and I stomp on your hand.
Okay. So,
have you engaged rites of salt and smoke?
That is correct.
So you've just offered up some pain to the dark entries lingering in your peripheral vision. Yeah.
Well, my read on that is I have to actually hurt, like I have to do damage. It's not just pain.
Yeah.
And I think something not breath-like quite at all comes out of my mouth when I scream from the injury, and I am going to attempt to banish the spirit from her.
Well, let's have you roll with sensitivity then. I think that might not have been a failure. What did you get?
Sorry. I guess I'll see what the complication is before I decide whether I'm going to use a mask, but this is where I might consider using one.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, the magic works imperfectly. Choose your effect and complication. So your effect is banish a spirit or curse from the person, object, or place it inhabits. Which complication do you want? You get to choose. You choose the complication. I'll tell you what that looks like.
Right. Oh, I'm deciding. You know what? Let's throw immediate unwanted attention.
Yes. The windows on the ground floor, the glass blows out. Just as Mr. Beale is coming to the front door. Let's cut to Marta upstairs on the ghost tour with young Roger. He'll take you, I think, to the bedrooms, 4 bedrooms on the second floor, one for each of Harold, father, Alice, mother, Roger, and then one for guests. What about these rooms unnerves you, Marta?
Yeah, I will say, let me think here. What if every room has some sort of excessive locking feature, as if they were trying to protect themselves when they're in the room?
Okay. Yeah, they are over secure on windows and doors. Okay. His view is Roger's view is that he hasn't seen the ghost himself, obviously, and he wouldn't want to because it scared poor Ginny to death. Actual real death with actual real fright.
I have a question.
Go on.
Do we know where she died?
Let's have you roll the information move and see what Roger has to tell you.
All right.
What are you thinking as your...
I don't know. I mean, presence, he already is kind of onto me, right? I'm thinking reason, maybe?
Yeah, I think to try and pick your way through this kind of chitter-chatter from this 9-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent.
So roll with reason.
Oh, okay, +1. Nine.
Oh, right. Do you want to put on a mask to improve that to a 10, or will you?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay.
I'm gonna do Mask of the Past. You lost someone very important to you. Who were they? Well, what I'm thinking of is something. I would say, how about the mother gave up a baby for adoption when she was very, very young?
Okay, make a note of that somewhere because I will forget. But I think that's a formative experience. Goodness me.
Where are there notes?
Right the way down the bottom, there's a little notes slot which will expand to take more text, I think.
Oh wait.
All the way down, I'm looking at oh gosh, where is it?
I see personal quarter. Oh, notes. Yep, I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And so you get the clue without any problem. And the clue, I think, is, given what you just told me, a door that keeps locking no matter how many times you unlock it. Because what Roger does is there's a key in the door of each of these bedrooms, and he unlocks the door and lets you in, leaving the door unlocked behind you. But then when you go back to the door, it's locked and he has to unlock it again. And you try that a couple of times and it's weird. It's a bit like the book falling off the shelf. There's something weird going on. Yeah. And as I think I said, this is when I think you finally waded through your bowl of cabbage.
Oh, one question. So is this where Jenny died? Or I don't know that yet.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Sorry,
Excellent.
that was the question you asked. And it is that door, the locked room door, where she died. You've escaped Mrs. Thickett's cabbage, and you come to the top of the basement stairs, the kitchen basement stairs, just as Mr. Beale marches into the house. And he looks at you, says, "Who the bloody hell are you?" And that's where we'll take our next break, I think. 10 past the hour?
Yeah.
Okay, see you at 10 past the hour. Okay, back from our break. So there are now, I've just checked, 6 clues accumulating on the threat tab. Just to explain, if you were now wanting to begin to think about answering a question, the way you decide if you can come up with an answer, and the answer will be one that you collectively invent, remember, all you have to do is to involve as many of those clues as possible, either by explaining them away or linking them to your answer to the question. The first question you need to answer is, which part of the house is the ghost attached to? So I just want you to be thinking about that, because I think that your current cover may not be sustained in the face of Mr. Beale's inquiry about why his windows are broken. So we left you at the top of the stairs to the kitchen when what's his name? Harold Beale, husband and father, patchy beard, a bit kind of and clearly shocked by the fact that his front windows just blew out. He doesn't know his dining room window also blew out at this point. And he says, "Who the bloody hell are you?"
Yeah, I am equally shocked that all the windows have blown out. So in a brusque enough manner, I shall explain that my master is visiting his wife, and I am, well, going to see what the bloody hell is going on too.
Okay, and so what you march into the dining room where you can hear kind of "Ah!" from Mrs. Beale.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Beale has stopped choking, hence, for what it's worth. And it does look like you have successfully banished that spirit. But there is quite a crowd gathering in the street to find out what's happened. And Mr. Beale comes into the dining room with more and says, "Alice, what on earth is going on?" Who responds? Angel?
Yeah, I was just gonna see if Hence wanted to take it.
Hence,
I mean,
look like
my
it.
hand is crushed. I think I'm a little distracted right now. So I'm not first on the drop by any stretch.
So, Angel, are you going to carry on with the pretense, or are you going to come clean at this point?
Yeah, I think that's all right now. Enough of all this. Look, you and your family, we think, are in grave danger. Your wife almost died here, and whatever tried to come after her blew out the windows of your house. Your maid that died recently wasn't the first death here. Or actually, no, I don't know that. sorry, wasn't the only death here, isn't going to be the only death here if we don't do something to resolve this.
I think that I don't need to have you roll for that, because I think Harold kind of suddenly realizes this has got quite serious, because I think he's prepared to believe that the ghosts blew out those windows. Indeed, they might have, for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
Constance is assuming they did, regardless of whether or not it was actually Hence's fault.
and he kind of tentatively says, so you could help with these matters.
Well, oh, go ahead.
Hence, Unruh here is a noted expert in these matters, and I believe if we wait for a moment, they will regather their dignity and tell us exactly where this ghost is and what we can do to banish it.
And everyone in the room, I think, looks at Hence. Meanwhile, upstairs, Marta, you hear this kind of shattering of glass downstairs, and a baby starts to cry. There's only one bedroom you haven't been in yet, and that's where the baby's crying. Oh, you look like you're muted, but I'm not seeing the sign. Aha.
There we go. Yeah, I'll ask. And what's the kid's name again?
Roger.
Roger. She's like, Roger, do you have a young sibling?
Yes, madam. My sister Alice, Mary Alice.
Oh, well, let's check on her.
And he takes you to the and he says, I didn't relock that door, did I, miss?
I think that door likes to lock itself. Does it always do that?
Do you think it's the ghost?
Oh, I think the ghost is doing an awful lot here. Yes, I do.
So you believe in the ghost?
I mean, I believe in what I see with my own eyes.
Gosh, I didn't think it was real. I thought we'd just make a few pennies.
Oh, I don't think there's a, yeah, well, you never know, Roger, nothing to worry about here.
And you go along to the back bedroom, which he unlocks with the key that's in the door. And inside is the baby, Mary Alice Beale, young, pudgy, in a cot. Yeah, but you know, she's just crying out the noise. And there's a dog kind of curled up beside the crib.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes and ruffles his hair. Who's a good dog, Pythagoras? Are you guarding my sister? Are you?
Yeah, I think I'll try to comfort the child. I'm most interested in doing one of these questions.
Then we'll. Do you want to look for a clue in this room before you convene downstairs? Because
gotcha.
Answering over the questions is a collective enterprise.
Yeah. We'll do some info here.
Yeah. So information. I think you're just looking around, are you?
Yeah. Yep. Just looking around.
That sounds like reason to me. Or composure to calm the child while you're looking around? I don't know.
Yeah, let's do composure, because a screaming kid can be very distracting.
Fine. 2d6 plus composure.
8 total.
8. I will ask you if you want to put on a mask to get to 10 plus. Otherwise, there's a complication either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching.
Yeah, let's let's just push the masks to their limit, right? We got 5 sessions.
And at this rate, you will have used them up in about 2. But no, go ahead.
Okay.
Actually, I've just remembered, folks, there is a rule, and it's on the threat sheet. Do you see at the top, I've added something called the Mask of the Unquiet. Each hunter narrates a flashback to their childhood when they experienced a haunting. You get that extra mask.
Okay.
Incidentally. So why don't we, now that we've confirmed that you are actually ghost hunters, why don't you invoke that mask, and we'll have everyone will describe an experience.
Excellent.
So, go ahead then, Marta.
I'll do that. I'm actually changing. My first one was as a young woman of 16, she gave birth stillborn. So she lost her child. But anyway, her first whoops, let me see. Let me jump to it. To their childhood when they experienced a haunting. How about that I don't know if this is wait a second, let me something. All right. I'm going to try to veil this. Basically, what I want to do is, Marta is obsessed with building her child. So as a kid, as a young child, she was haunted by a young cousin who had passed away.
Okay. No, that works for me. What about?
And what it is this cousin would appear to her with no skin.
Oh.
And this kind of got her perverse fascination with the human body.
I see how that would work. Let's go to Hence. Hence, relate a flashback to your childhood when you experienced a haunting.
Okay. I'm in. So I was in some bedroom in a country manor, and a ghost of a probably of a woman who was murdered, visible graphic wounds and maybe decay, comes in all in white and looms over to the bed. And as I startle awake, I try to whisper, "No, run, run." And then something from the dark corner of the room comes and grabs the ghost. And that's where that flashback ends.
Fine. Let's go round to Angel. A childhood experience of a haunting.
Yeah, I think that I mean, going back to the sister that died when we were young, I think that like I hear my mother, like when I'm young, playing with a newborn baby in the adjoining room, and like I hear the baby's laughter, and then like when I peek in through the door, she's just there alone, and then we see her like scream like, "What do you think you're doing up?" and like throw something at the door, and then I like slam it shut.
You had a great relationship with your mother. It's becoming very clear. And finally, more. What about your first experience of haunting?
I think we see Moore as a boy of 10 or 11 swimming in a canal, diving to the bottom to retrieve, bits and pieces or bits of coal that have dropped off barges, anything to make ends meet. And as he descends to the bottom, a drowned bargeman or something like that reaches out of the silt and detritus at the bottom and tries to drown him also.
Wow, no wonder you ended up living at Hargrave House. Okay, I'm going to let you have quieted Mary Alice and perhaps left Roger to look after his sister Marta, so that you can head off down the stairs. But did I give you the clue Or was I distracted by the mask?
Yeah, no clue. I don't
Okay.
think we got a clue.
Roger points out that Mary Alice's favorite wax doll is missing. So add that to the clue. That's the 7th clue. So the way this works mechanically, before we kind of role play it, is that for every one of these 7 clues that you can either link to your answer to the question or explain away separately, you add 1 to your dice roll as long as it's more than complexity. So you have to link 4 of them to roll plus 0. If you link 5 of them, you'll roll plus 1 and so on. Yeah. So if you could link all 7 of these clues to answering the question about where the ghost is located, you would roll with plus 3. Complexity is 4, all 7 clues, complexity minus from clues leaves you 3 to roll with. Does that make sense mechanically? Just so you know what you're playing with. And I think we will cut to all of you sat in the dining room with Mr. and Mrs. Beale. Mr. Beale's only concern is whether this is going to cost him any money. And I think that once you assure him that this isn't a kind of commercial enterprise that you're engaged upon, he is very happy to cooperate. So is there anything that you want to talk to Mr. Beale about, or do you want to go straight to trying to answer a question?
I like the idea of us getting Beale's take on it, right? His wife seems very shaken up. I don't think we got too much out of her, right? Maybe he'd be more forthcoming. Who's best to engage with him? Who would he be most?
Well,
I assume probably more.
Man to man, all of that.
Yeah, so I think as a kind of a reversal, as things calm down in the sitting room, maybe I draw him out, or in the dining room, I draw him out to the front room, ignoring the signs of a broken vase.
Which I think, in fairness, they did conceal.
Yeah. And say, your wife and indeed the cook are obviously entirely discombobulated by this state of affairs. You can tell it to me straight.
Ginny was a perfectly decent maid, but she did look as if she'd been frightened to death. The look on her face, Mr. Moore, was. I struggle even now to think of it, and it quite ruined my wife's nerves.
And has the house been in the family for decades?
Oh, no. We moved here but a year or so ago. I'm doing rather well in my position, and I thought that it was time that the family moved up in the world. And so, no, we moved in here 12, 13 months ago.
And who was here previously, do you know?
I have to say, the house is empty. I bought it through an agent.
Have you the agent's card?
I probably do, yes. I'll have to find it. And he goes to a bureau in the corner. And let's have you roll the investigate move.
Okay.
The information move.
Yeah.
And I think this is composure or I could go for any of the social ones: composure, reason, presence, common sense. I take your pick, really.
Yeah, composure I think works. So I'll reroll these. Okay, the dice room is not quite cursed, so it's a 7 going to an 8.
Okay. Do you want to put a mask on and knock it up to a 10?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make it a mask of the past. So narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. So I think maybe there's something in the bureau. Maybe it's old, maybe it's from the previous owners that has some kind of a reference to a military background. And so this is, I think we see a very young Moor on a dusty plain in Afghanistan, which seems about right for the time
For
period.
the time, I think, yeah.
Oh yes, a plane. Okay, right. I was trying to think. Oh, what?
Oh yes, no, a plain. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A flat area of dusty ground. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Okay, then what clue could I give you? As he's leafing through some papers, he puts opens a kind of folder, a leather folder with papers in it, and he's sorting through them. And the ones that he casts to one side, where he's looking for the estate agent's card, is a ledger. Harold's ledger contains entries for strange household expenses, like thought casting, dream whisperer, and pig gifts. Do you challenge him on that? Challenge him on them?
I mean, I think I will kind of tap my finger on the entry as I see them go by, and maybe even turn back a page as he flicks through it, and just look at him with a raised eyebrow.
And he looks at it and says, what are they?
Seems like a very strange business.
What's thought casting, Mr. Moore? I can't explain those. So they are strange entries that he can't explain.
And are they in his hand, or?
I think that the joy of this game is that if we leave it as open as that, when you come to explain that clue,
sure,
you can use whose hand it is to explain it or to involve it. So there we are. We have currently then 8 clues in play. So the question now is, we kind of have to go a bit meta here, I'll be honest with you, for you to try to work out how you can connect those into an answer to the question, in which room should you be looking for the ghost? Now, it may be in all kinds of rooms, but there is one place that you have to pin it down in order to open the opportunity to actually put it to rest.
So I have a question. That book that always kept falling out was a woman who killed her husband?
Yeah.
And then one question is, I have is, there could be ghosts, and ghosts can possess people. So, right, the ghost could be doing things, but then ghosts could also make the people living here be uncharacteristic.
True.
They could take on additional traits.
Or do things without realizing they're doing them.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that hence is probably where people are hoping this conversation is going to begin, hence. So I'm curious, hence, do you see any way to connect these clues? You don't have to connect them all. It's just the more that you can connect above 4, the more you add to your dice roll.
Oh, muted. I don't know if you're talking or thinking.
I'm thinking.
Ah, excellent.
Now, I'll give you, one way to come at this, from my experience playing Brindlewood Bay, is what can you simply explain away? So, for instance, maybe you don't have to involve the blood-filled vase in where the ghost is. You simply explain that as, well, there's one instance of the ghost at work. Do you see what I mean? So
yeah.
Go ahead, Angel.
Oh no, go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
What I was going to suggest is that the tact I was considering was starting on 1 or 2 clues as the pivot, and then working out from there. And I think the clue of the self-locking room, I think and some of these clues are close to universal for figuring out where things are. Like, for example, the book, we can say that the attempted murder or the murder happened in a particular room that is reminiscent of this particular room in the house, whatever that might be. So that's easy enough for us to sort of join those together. But the room that has the self-locking locks, that is also where the maid died, seems to be a good initial candidate. And the question is, unless somebody has a better idea, I was going to start building from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I want to throw it out. I think that probably Constance doesn't mention this, but I think maybe it might be interesting if Moore notices it when you're looking through that ledger, that like the bits and bobs, like maybe there is notes about construction done in that particular room for sort of very strange, like ritualistic like purposes. Like it was being set up as like a ritual room or something.
Or perhaps it was once had a different purpose. So maybe it was once the master bedroom, and then it's been changed to a servant's quarters or something like that.
So I like the idea that the door is always locked despite unlocking it. Seems to be a good place to start. I like the idea that there is something in the ledger that suggests that there was, maybe they've put right some work, or was Angel wanting to suggest that they were setting up some kind of ritual?
Okay, I didn't realize. I thought the ledgers were older. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's his ledger. So maybe there's something in there as well about work done to strip a floor to remove Latin text or something like that. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Like I think that like some of the floorboards had to like be pulled up because like there were carvings into the wood itself, maybe. Fine.
That's certainly a strange entry. Fine. So we got that one in. What, Marta, is there anything else you think you can connect to that or explain away?
Well, let me think. I'm looking at a tightening felt around somebody's throat. Actually, we're going to skip that one for now. How about, okay, so a similar death in the house decades previously. I can embellish that. Yeah. So how about the similar death was that okay, how about we have I think it was in the book too, is that a wife killed the husband. Was that correct? That was in it. So how about a similar death was, and let's flip this. All right, we'll just go straight up. What we'll have is a wife was very, very religious, and her husband had weirder and weirder proclivities.
And that's
And-
why she did for him in the book.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you saying that the murder decades before is similar to what went on in the book?
Yeah. We'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I take
And I
that one.
think, does the murder in the book maybe have her like choking her husband to death in this secret ritual room he had prepared or something?
Which would explain a tightening felt around someone's throat. What about
Right.
more?
I think this strange pairing, right, both in the book and in what we're piecing together of the murder here decades previously, it maybe has echoes of that, the arranged marriage, you know, two people who are definitely not meant for each other.
And perhaps that's
yeah,
reflected in the Beals relationship.
yeah, but I mean, I think in the previous one or in the book, right, there's some kind of dark occult purpose to this arranged marriage, whereas the Beals is merely, you know, an arranged marriage that is maybe not working out as these things are hoped to. Presumably, yeah.
Hence, I think I trod on you as you were about to come in. Mendel?
What I was going to say is the possibility of jars of pig's blood being used for ritual purposes. And of course, the likely association that if the maid was born in January, carnations would be her birth flower.
Which links us back to the blood-filled vase. Okay. That simply leaves the baby's favorite wax doll is missing. I mean, at the minute, you'll notice that what you've already achieved is if you now go up to the question, which part of the house, you can see that it's taken account of that. So you're currently rolling 2d6 plus 3. So if you can leave the baby's doll for another time, you don't need to use that up.
Yeah, we're going to need, so are these clues used up when we?
Yes, they are. So,
okay.
You know, so it's a decision for you to make really about whether you want to go for +4 or in fact discard one of these now. So you've got it for the next question.
I think that the baby's doll probably will be make more sense in helping us figure out how to perform a quieting ritual, how to pass this ghost on.
Yeah, because any ghost exorcism that doesn't involve a child's wax doll is no kind of exorcism I want any part of. Absolutely, that has to crop up, doesn't it?
Although we need, right, nothing counts until we get past 6 for the next question.
Indeed.
So
indeed,
right.
We may just want to roll flat, right, on that with the baby's toy.
So it looks like 2d6 plus 3. I'm going to suggest that as Hence gave us the first lead in, that we devolve re-rolling a couple of dice to Hence. So responsibility sits with that person closest to the dark. And, you know, next time somebody else will do it. Yeah. So Hence, would you like to roll 2d6 plus 3? Oh my God. That is a double 1.
Yeah, figured.
I mean, I have to do that at least once every session of PBTA. So
okay.
It would be great if we rolled. It's like I'm rolling d4s.
Yeah. Well, look. What it does say, note, it doesn't matter who rolls when the time comes. Additionally, answer a question is not subject to any modifiers on the roll advantage, but the success tier can be increased if every hunter invokes a Janus mask.
I mean, I'm definitely willing to invoke a Mask of the Past on this.
Okay. Yeah. Looks like Marta's in. What about Constance?
Sure, I guess, yeah.
More?
In for a penny.
Okay, so let's start then with hence. Which mask are you going to invoke?
Yeah, I'm going to invoke the Mask of the Past.
Go ahead. Narrate a
Um,
flashback to the time when you were in your mother's womb that shows even then dark entities were interested in you.
Sure. The scene is of a very very pregnant woman in a in a room of a sort of well decorated manor sort of reading room. And she seems to be at work. You sort of come from behind. She seems to be at work with something, maybe has a book there, or maybe she's doing some craft thing. You hear the ripping of paper. And you, as we sort of, the camera turns around, you see that she's tearing strips of pages out of a book and then rolling them up and then consuming them. Inside, well, yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. Oh, other than there are strange symbols, and this is very old paper or parchment, really, that is being torn apart this way.
Tick the box. Moving along to Marta. Which mask would you like to don?
So one thing for the Mask of the Past, it looks like all my questions revolve around the same person.
Oh gosh.
So stillborn birth really limits a lot of that.
Yeah, it does. So this has to be your first love or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. But what we will do is, we'll say my cousin. We were very, very close. We'll say I had like a unhappy childhood, but very, very close. And she died very young. So first time you experience love for the person you lost. What we'll say is it's a flashback of her consoling me when I'm very, 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 let's say the domestic thing in my house was very, very unpleasant. And so she's consoling me and she's teaching me how to cope with it. Teaching me in the sense that we go to our little hideout out in the forest, and we're actually making our own playmates. So we're making people out of woods, and they're our imaginary friends.
Fine. Tick the box. Moving on to more. Which mask will you mark?
I think I will mark a mask of the past to narrate a flashback to my young adulthood, when before I was a servant that shows what a charmed life I lived. And I think we see more in uniform on sentry duty, taking a draft out of a hip flask. At the moment, a sniper shoots at him, and the bullet or the round hits the hip flask, damaging it almost, but not quite beyond repair, and then leaves a ricochet scar on his cheek, which we see now.
And it has to be the same hip flask he currently
carries.
Oh,
obviously, yeah. It's
which, though it is engraved on one side, clearly on the other side there's just a kind of dent in it.
Yeah, and it's been kind of repaired, maybe a little bit crudely, but there's definitely signs of ill use or good use, depending on
how you look at it. And finally, Angel, narrate a flashback to your young childhood that shows the incident that made you start to resent, even despise your parents. Oh, you are muted.
Sorry, I already checked off the one that I am doing.
Oh, sorry.
Narrate a flashback to your youth, to showing what an arrogant, willful brat you were. I think it's probably actually I take a lot of my dresses and whatnot, and I think a few of these like keepsakes of my sister who I've come to resent, and I set fire to them in the family's garden.
Oh, wow.
And I think like my governess comes out and like slaps me hard across the face.
Oh, I like all of those. Gosh, I do like the way this creates a really interesting backstory on the hoof. So that increases that terrible failure to a marginal success. So on a 7 to 9 as above, it's a correct solution and an opportunity can be pursued. So you can now try to do the ritual, but the keeper will add an unwelcome complication to the answer, and or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. I think that I will make pursuing the opportunity. I
Well,
need to quiet. Go on.
I don't think we can do the ritual because it's the other. Or did we go with the just figure it out?
Oh, you have to unlock the first question before you get to the second one.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to know where the ritual needs to be performed.
Okay. Yeah.
In order to then do the ritual. Yeah.
Right.
So I think what we'll do is we'll say that we know it's going to be more dangerous. Yeah. But you know it was in that bedroom, the self-locking bedroom, where Ginny was found dead, and where there is this evidence that they did some work to replace some carved floorboards. Yeah. So you have success. I'll put a tick in that one. There we go. And what I'm tempted to do is to say, I think that's where the episode ends, with you approaching that bedroom. And then we'll run that and then move into the dusk and night phase for next time. Does that seem fair? Yeah.
Yeah. I want to give you the heads up that I think probably like the last thing we see is us returning to the house, and Constance receives a letter from her father. Let me see. Let me remind myself
It would
exactly.
be a good, you're well done. It would be a good thing to resolve that now, because we'll all have forgotten by next time.
Yeah. I think it's my father telling me that like to I think it's like basically expressing disappointment in me and the shame I've brought to the family, and how he has arranged for me to be retired to a sanatorium upon my return to the family home for my clear hysterical psychoses. And I should tell the keeper you put the Pinkerton threat into play.
I've just added Pinkerton to the threat. So there is a Pinkerton agent coming to get you, Angel.
Yep.
And I think probably as you finish reading this, the last paragraph says something, or last sentence something like, and if you refuse to return voluntarily, I will have no alternative but to take measures. And that's when we see a Western boot heel step off a Great Western Railway train in the steam at Paddington, and the Pinkerton is in play. I think that's a good point to pause, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to do a quick stars and wishes if that's possible. I'm sure Jason is keen to get some feedback, but I'm going to stop the recording now.